is here with you. Radio 2.
And now we join Roy Hudd for They Called Me Al.
Once in khaki suits, why gee we look swell, full of that Yankee doodly down. 500,000 boots went slogging through hell, and I was a kid with a drum. Say, don't you remember, they called me Al. Why, it was Al all the time. Why don't you remember, I'm your pal, buddy. Can you spare a dime?
Hello, folks, and welcome to Part 5 of the Al Bowley story. We're now in 1934, the year Ray Noble set out for America with just two guys from his HMV recording orchestra, his drummer, Bill Harty, and the man who'd been such an important part of the success of Ray Noble's records in the States, his crooner, Al Bowley. Al couldn't wait to go. He'd done everything he could as a band singer in England, and he wanted to lose the aftertaste that only a disastrous marriage can leave. He was trying. He'd had encounters in hotels, dressing rooms, band rooms, and even on one unforgettable evening in Birmingham, in the gents' cloakroom between numbers.
Dance hall doll, dancing around the floor, is this all that you are living for? Must you be only a dance hall doll?
Only a dance hall doll.
Running wild, where does it lead into, foolish child? What is it getting you, can't you see? You're just a dance hall doll.
You're just a dance hall doll.
That happy tune to which your swaying stride may turn into the blues. All too soon, you will be cast aside like worn-out dancing shoes. Don't go on, wasting your youth away when it's gone. You'll learn it doesn't pay just to be only a dance hall doll.
Only a dance hall doll.
Dance hall dolls, he had a million. He also had a steady girlfriend, Margaret Fairless, Margie. And in October 1934, with the good wishes of the man who'd made his name for him, Lou Stone, Al, Margie, Ray, and Bill Harty sailed for the New World.
Riptide, caught in a riptide, torn between two loves, the old and the new. Riptide, lost in a riptide, where will it take me? What shall I do? My heart is tossed on a sea of emotion. One love offers romance, the other devotion. A new love is calling, the old love is pleading. I'm caught in a riptide, what shall I do?
They arrived, the Four Musketeers, and immediately there was trouble. The American Musicians Union had to be convinced that Ray Noble would be creating work for their members. The problem was solved when Ray asked a local arranger and trombonist to book his band. His name was Glenn Miller. While he scoured the town for the best there was, Ray signed a 26-week radio contract and, with Bill Harty in tow, set off to Hollywood to write songs. Al started recording with anyone who wanted him, and he and Margie moved into a hotel just off, where else? Broadway. Glenn Miller had got Ray Noble an unforgettable band, with names like Charlie Spivak, Bud Freeman, Pee Wee Irvin, Will Bradley, Claude Thornhill, and of course, himself. Now, work for Ray's new orchestra, and particularly for Al, really began to happen. Apart from their college one-night stands, they were busy in the recording and radio studios. Al appeared on radio with other bands and with Ray in their own show, sponsored by Coty Cosmetics.
got you under my skin. I've got you deep in the heart of me. So deep in my heart, you're really a part of me. I've got you under my skin. I try so not to give in. I said to myself, this affair never will go so well. But why should I try to resist? Darling, I know so well. I've got you under my skin. I'd sacrifice anything, come what might, for the sake of having you near, in spite of a warning voice that comes in the night and repeats in my ear. Don't you know, little fool, you never can win. Use your mentality, wake up to reality. But each time I do, just the thought of you makes me stop before I begin. 'Cause I've got you under my skin.
Early in 1935, Ray Noble, at last, was able to fulfill the job he'd been asked to go to America for in the first place. On the 31st of May, he, his orchestra, and Al started their season in the Rainbow Room at the top of the Rockefeller Center. It was the most exclusive gig in New York, the classiest and the priciest. The band not only played from 9 till 3 a.m., they accompanied the floor show and did a weekly broadcast. It was the in place for all New York's best punters, from wealthy bankers to the rich college kids. A Rainbow Room, New York. 65 stories nearer the stars.
Blue moon, you saw me standing alone, without a dream in my heart, without a love of my own. Blue moon, you knew just what I was there for. You heard me sing a prayer for someone I really could care for. And then there suddenly appeared before me the only one my arms will ever hold. I heard somebody whisper, please adore me. And when I looked, the moon had turned to gold. Blue moon, now I'm no longer alone, without a dream in my heart, without a love of my own. there suddenly appeared before me, the only one my arms will ever hold. I heard somebody whisper, please adore me. And when I looked, the moon had turned to gold. Without a love of my own.
Al had cracked it. The weekly broadcast brought him in so much fan mail, a special staff had to be employed to deal with all the inquiries about the new British singer. Of all the thousands of weak-kneed outpourings, Al's favourite was from a girl who said, "When your voice comes over the air, it's just like fizzy lemonade being poured down my spine." Al loved it all. But he married Margie. In spite of all his naughty caperings, he got on okay with her. Ray Noble himself said he fell victim to every pretty redhead, brunette or blonde. He exerted a fascination on the fair sex, which I found almost frightening. But he always came back to Margie.
I depend on you so much. We must always keep in touch. The day is incomplete unless I meet you, my sweetheart. Just to contemplate parting makes me terribly blue. I only want to go sweethearting, dearest, just with you. I'm so used to you, don't know what to do. If you were to go away, say, I don't think I'd last a day. I'm so used to you now. You're just everything, that means anything. What a washout life would be, gee, if you weren't along with me. I'm so used to you now. You're a part of me, and the heart of me knows no better friend. You're the reason for every breath I draw, the beginning and end. Like a bird without wings would hop about, like the day without the sun. Honest, you're the only one. I'm so used to you now.
Al always came back to Margie. According to Ray Noble, he often admitted his faults quite openly. When they had quarrels, they were fierce, but 20 minutes later, he'd be crying in her lap and swearing never to leave her again. He had a lovable, simple nature. Margie was clearly a very understanding lady.
You're a part of me, and the heart of me knows no better friend. You're the reason for every breath I draw, the beginning and end. Like a bird without wings would hop about, like the day without the sun. Honest, you're the only one. I'm so used to you now.
The biggest danger for Margie was when the band toured. Al, like all the married band boys, would install his wife in a comfortable hotel, and off he'd go, playing one-nighters all over the country. He was received with open arms wherever the band appeared. He was mobbed by girl fans and, of course, lapped it up. Ray Noble said he left a trail of broken hearts clear across the country.
Roaming through the roses, down the roadway leading to you. I'm roaming through the roses and bidding troubles adieu. Happy, oh so happy, I'm romancing all of the while. For I know through the window I'll see your welcoming smile. First there'll be a little meeting, a little greeting, a little bliss. Then between the bites we're eating, I'll keep repeating a little kiss. Star time will be our time, that's the one time I've never blue. When I'm roaming through the roses with you, wonderful you.
All those roses he roamed through. Adeline, Dinah, Judy, Linda, Mari, Rosalita, Marta. He sang about them all. The trombonist in the band showed Al a song he'd composed. It had nice lyrics too by Eddie Heyman, who wrote Body and Soul. Weep for the moon has no reason to glow now. Weep for the rose has no reason to grow now. The river won't flow now, as I lay me down to weep. Al loved it, but never recorded it. No one did, until the trombonist, Glenn Miller, recorded it with his own band and without words. It became Moonlight Serenade. Al met his great hero, Bing Crosby, on the set of a film Al and the Noble Orchestra were in with Bing, the big broadcast of 1936. Bing said, Al was a real nice guy. Bing must have been too. Al had just beaten him into third place in a most popular singer poll. Even so, Al didn't get a spot in the film. Now comes another take-your-choice story. Al Bowley decided to leave America at presumably the height of his popularity. Why? Well, some said he didn't like the American way of life. For a wanderer like Al, anywhere I hang my hat is home Bowley doesn't seem likely. And yet he did say to an American reporter, all I really want to do is make enough money so I can buy a motorboat, go back to South Africa and go fishing. Others said he thought he could do better in England with his own show. He certainly did feel America wasn't giving him the breaks his popularity deserved. But my favourite story, true or not, says he got involved with a gangster's girlfriend and was advised to leave.
Frankie and Johnny were sweethearts, and everybody knows how she paid $100 just to buy her man a suit of clothes. He was a man, but he done her wrong. Frankie went down to the barroom, ordered a bottle of beer. She said, now look here, Mr. Bartender Man, have you seen my loving Johnny here? He was my man, but he done me wrong. Frankie went into the pawn shop. She didn't go right in for fun. And when she came out from that Jew man's store, she had an Ivan Johnson 41 for to shoot the man that had done her wrong. Then Frankie went down to the... Now Frankie shot Johnny the first time. Frankie shot Johnny twice. Now Frankie shot Johnny the third time, and she took that gambler's life, who was her man, but he done her wrong. When Judge said to Frankie, look here, little girl, don't you make those eyes at me.
I don't make no eyes.
For the jury have found you guilty of murder in the third degree.
I didn't shoot
You shot
my
your
man.
man, you certainly did, but he's done you wrong.
He did me wrong.
Oh, yes, he done me wrong, and he put me right in all the worst of circumstances. I took some awful chances. Yes, he done me wrong, but I feel so lonesome. Now he's dead and gone. The Lord have mercy on him. The Lord have mercy on him. Johnny cursed him. He done me wrong.
Frankie and Johnny, with Al on guitar and vocal, and Ella Logan doing the boo in the background. Well, I suppose the most probable reason Al left America was Ray Noble and the orchestra being booked for the Burns and Allen radio show. They already had a singer, so that meant Al would be back to the old days of freelancing again. Well, I still like the gangster theory best. But wherever he went, he went. He cabled his brother Michael in Johannesburg, offering him a job in his intended new British band. Michael, who everyone called Mish, was a pianist, who the South African musical mafia had told Al was good. Al didn't know. He hadn't seen him for 14 years. But on the 16th of January 1937, carrying a leather suitcase inscribed, "To Al Bowley from Abe Lyman and all the music men of New York City," Mr. and Mrs. Bowley sailed away. Al made one last record with Ray Noble, a prophetic one.
There's something in the air that warns me to beware tonight. There's something in the air. There's music in the breeze. I never saw the stars so bright. There's something in the air. Though I find there's danger in your eyes, the thrill is new. I've been blind, but now I realize what love can do. I feel it everywhere, so whisper you'll be mine tonight. There's something in the air.
Al was never a businessman, or very good at looking ahead. Live for the day was his motto. If only he could have hung on in the States for another couple of years, the rest of this story would be totally different. By the 40s, the singer, as opposed to the band, had become the big draw. Of course, people still do remember the band leaders, Artie Shaw, Chick Webb and Tommy Dorsey, but everyone knows their singers. Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald and Frank Sinatra. Al's leaving America was a miracle of mistiming, but, as ever, his perennial optimism kept him going.
Oh, good luck's no friend of mine, and my guiding star won't shine. I shall still keep smiling along. And wherever I may roam, though a million miles from home, I shall still keep smiling along. Although the road is dreary, you'll always find me cheery, singing to myself a happy song. And whatever may befall, with my back against the wall, I shall still keep smiling along.
Al was back in England early 37. He was faced with a very different musical world. His American records had been heard, but with no live appearances for 4 years, he was almost, as the melody maker said, a forgotten man. His brother Mish, the unheard by Al pianist, arrived in London, moved in with his brother and Margie, and waited for things to happen. Al and Margie took him on the town, into an old haunt, the Café de Paris. Mish recalls, Al was greeted by a very distinguished couple. "Who are they?" I asked Margie. "Great fans," she said. "Lord and Lady Mountbatten." The manager came over and said to Al, "How beautiful to see you." He found us a table upstairs. Someone put a spotlight on Al. He acknowledged the applause and sang.
Do you know why stars come out at night? It's curious the way they do. The answer is simply this: they love to look at you. Do you know why owls come out at night and ask each other who? The answer is simply this: they love to look at you. The wise old moon up yonder, the little clouds that wander, they've all fallen under your spell. And I am a captive as well, forever and ever. Now you know why stars come out at night, they feel the same as I do too. So won't you say that I may forever stay with you?
Won't you say that I may forever stay with you? How could they refuse? He paralyzed them. They did remember Al. Next week, you'll find out what happens when a crooner gets nodules in a most peculiar place, and how, in the middle of the London Blitz, another, and perhaps the most misquoted Bowley mystery of all, happened. Till then...
Join Roy Hudd for the conclusion of the Al Bowley story next Sunday at 4 o'clock. The producer was Alison Toohey.